How you doing, wrestling fans? This is the Straight Up Wrestling Show with Harry Bernard Taylor and
Michael King, the Asian sensation.
Christopher Burton, the People's Podcaster.
And we want to talk a little bit about Smackdown, and we want to give a tribute to a man who done a lot in the business, and I think that he deserves credit and props for everything that he done and brought to our lives as a wrestler, and he really entertained us. So we want to give Paul Orndorf our respects. He's still here, but he's I think he's in a nursing home, or he's getting nursing care.
He's doing poorly right now. He's suffering from some illnesses related to concussions. So we'll get into that towards the end. But before we get into that, I'd just like to say this is our very first video. You get to see what we look like.
Yes.
We're coming live. Well, we're live. You guys are getting the recording.
Yes.
But this is Boiling Springs, South Carolina. We got a beautiful pond back here and nice community. So this is what it looks like. All right. Feel free to come on down sometime. We'll catch a show over at APW here in Boiling Springs. We have other indie wrestlings in the area. So
yes. So we're gonna get into the Smackdown. I really enjoyed the show. I like the beginning of it when Roman Reigns was in there and Paul Heyman, which to me is still I call him Paul Lee Dangerously, but he's Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
He's in there and he's talking to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns he's got this little arrogance on his face, and you know he's the king, he's the man now. You know he's the chief.
He's happy because basically he's still got the belt. He's still head of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Wants everybody to acknowledge him and so forth and so forth.
So to jump on this, all right. Outside of the Shield, this is the best I've seen Roman Reigns.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying head of the table, the little struggle with the vagabond Uso, the rebellion who won't just come into the fold. So
the black sheep of the family.
the black sheep of the family. So I think part of it is having Heyman taking the microphone, the heavy microphone use out of Roman Reigns' hands has been very helpful.
Yes.
He's always been a mouthpiece for his people.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a mouthpiece because, I mean, Brock Lesnar might have said 4 sentences the whole time he was ever in WWE.
Yeah.
You know, so they was like, okay, you can talk, but you're not that good. Paul, here you go. And that was gold. So you basically put Paul Heyman with anybody, it's going to be money.
Mm-hmm.
There was a show, there was a movie that came out years ago called Best of the Best, and then part 2 came out. It was called Best of the Best Part 2. Starring Tommy Ree. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember the movie.
Yes. It was a guy. I think he owned the Coliseum. He was the owner of the Coliseum, named Brackus, because he was the best fighter, and he just dominated everybody. And you had to beat him to become the Coliseum champion. Whoever won that defeated him will become the champion. And I guess he had defeated the champion before that. But this is what Roman Reigns. This is what Roman Reigns is reminding me of right now. And Paul E. Dangerously is that guy who was like over. He wasn't really over Brackus. Brackus was over this guy, but the guy was the mouthpiece for the Coliseum. And Roman Reigns remind me of Brackus. He has that same kind of smug attitude. Only says a few words like when he's putting down his cousin, when he's putting down Jimmy, and saying you got to prove yourself. You think you can do the same thing as your brother and all that. What you mean your brother's not here? But that reminds me a lot of Brackus. And Brackus used to wear a suit. That's one thing I liked about that. And I think Roman Reigns look pretty good in a suit. I think he should do some things come out in a suit. And
I don't think so, man. Because that's not who Roman is. Man.
I know it's not, man. But it will kind of like change up things.
Well, I think if we're going to change it up, you can't put him in a suit because they're doing this thing where so much claim to heritage. If anything, you have to go back to his tribal heritage ceremonial garb.
That's true, and that's true, and that's one thing I thought about. I'm like, his heritage is not going to really allow for him to do that or whatever. But it just seems to me that he's one of these guys that's just making a lot of money, and he's arrogant, and it just brings out it brings out like, you know, I got this, I got that, and it's going to take you a while before you reach this status, and everybody else is below him. So,
well, you got to think, man, his character too, man, he's all about business, man. He always looking for a scrap, he always looking for a fight. So he got his fighting clothes on all the time. He ready to get it on, man. You ain't got time to be suit and tie and some Stacey Adams on, man. Yeah, who you know gonna fight in some hard bottom shoes, man?
And plus, that's not him. But I'm just saying,
Exactly.
I just think it'll look good for a change. But I like what he's doing. I mean, I really enjoy what he's doing, and I think he's one of the top guys in the business right now, which he has been one of the top guys in the business for years. But if you've gotten a little tired of Roman Reigns or whatever, I think what he's doing right now is it's real exciting for the business, and it's gonna it keeps me very interested. So
yeah, he's Roman Reigns, head of the table, and Bianca Belair keeps me interested in SmackDown.
yes.
Yeah,
So
fair enough.
So, but on another point, you know, I do like my Stacey Adams. All right. So.
Yeah. I haven't had a pair of Stacey Adams in a while.
Yeah,
but,
Stacey's are good, man.
Yes, they
Stacey's
are.
yeah.
Yes, they are.
Good shoe.
All right, so after they went into that promo with Roman Reigns, and they went into the second promo with Bianca Belair in the ring, and that led up to the mixed tag with Seth Rollins and Bayley versus Cesaro and Bianca Belair. I really enjoy Bianca Belair. All right, I really do, and I really don't enjoy mixed tags.
No, I don't like
Yeah.
I don't like the rules of it. But I want to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, you are tag team expert.
No, I mean of course, but I want to talk about what when Bianca come out there and her little speech, what she was she gave before Bayley
Before Seth came out.
Yeah, before Seth came out, and Seth was like, and she attacked Bayley. I mean, no, Bayley jumped her first, wasn't it? Which one of them?
No,
Bayley said something, and then
right. So
Bianca
Seth,
hit her.
Seth did his thing. So actually, I kind of like the tease in Seth's promo. All right, because they talked about the Hell in a Cell, and he talked about, you know, congratulations and that kind of stuff, and and it goes into like, it seems like it was almost a fluke that you won, though.
Yeah, he
Right,
had to put a little salt in
Right,
there.
put a little salt in there. And then they talked about, hey, your partner's coming out for this mixed tag, and that's when Bayley comes out, and then Cesaro comes out afterwards, and then they get into their tag team.
Yeah, Bayley got in Bianca's face.
Yeah.
And so Bianca punched her, and they both fell out of the ring, and then they went into a commercial, and they come back, and Cesaro come out, and so
you are our Chris Jericho of the podcast, because you mispronounce every single person's name.
I do not know Cesaro, whatever his name is. I don't know his name. Okay, but hey, I'm trying to learn.
Let's call him Mr. C.
Hey, you got to remember, you guys been watching this guy for years, man. I just now started watching him.
I was just thinking back, you know, Shinsuke and Cesaro and that kind of thing. And I go back to when Jericho had his heel turn over at WCW.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's Tony Schiavone and
Okay, say his name.
Cesaro.
Okay, Cesaro.
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
All right, man. Whatever, you know, like I said, I got to hear the name more. The more I hear his name, the more it becomes coming to me. The people that's been in the business for a while, like Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and those people I'm familiar with. Dolph Ziggler, I'm familiar with those guys.
And it's funny because he's been in longer than any of them.
I wasn't. But was he in the big promotion before then?
Yeah, he was over in Europe, man. He was over in Europe. He's got the name over in Europe and everything, man.
I wasn't watching Europe wrestling. Goodness sake,
Europe,
man.
Japan.
No, that was you. That was you. That was you watching all that stuff. And for the last 4 years or so, Harry, you need to get the network. Harry, you need to do this. Harry, you need to do that.
That was trying to help you, man.
I had no interest in wrestling. But if y'all want to continue to dog me about these names and all that, man, then I'm not gonna have interest in wrestling again. I'm just like, hey, that stuff is just not for me. But hey,
so all this is just a tease. We're gonna have a cage match between Harry and Chris.
But if you go and listen to Jim Cornette always getting these guys' names wrong. Because
but when you're the heel, you get to do all those things.
Well, see, that's the whole thing about it is I did not care about. And see, and if I cared about, say his name again, Cesaro. If I cared about Cesaro, then I would get his name right. I cared about Bianca. That's why I got her name.
Cesaro,
right.
If you listen to this, his name is Harry Taylor. Email him. Call him.
We'll send his address. He would like to get one of your uppercuts.
Yes.
One of the things that he's dreamed of doing.
Well, you just make sure you stay in character and do it as a wrestler. Don't hit me for real. All right.
So the ultimate heel can call a person out, bring another person in, and then set up the match between the other two, even though he started the whole mess.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so let's get into the match.
All right. Get into the match. It was everything that you thought it would be.
For a mixed tag.
For a mixed tag. And it's I don't like them to begin with. I still think, okay, I'll tell you what, the best thing I like, so the match ends, and I forget who it is, but Bianca Belair has Bayley up on her shoulders, ready for the finishing move. She gets accidentally bumped by one of the men that causes the interference, and then Bayley gets the counter, gets the 1, 2, 3, and that's the fluke, right? So Rollins teased that Bianca won by a fluke at the beginning, and at the end, the other person wins as like a fluke. So I think of everything, it was just a nice little setup that when you're listening, you're not necessarily thinking, oh, this is how the match is going to end.
Exactly. You don't think that, but if you're wise to the cheek and tongue tricks of this business, you can see it.
But if you heard it, it was just kind of very nonchalant. So I'm wise to it. All right. Yes. And so, and I wasn't expecting it to become a fluke victory for Bayley. All right. So, that's one of the things. I like it when things come full circle. You go to stand-up comedy, right? Yeah. The guy leads off with a joke. It's a story joke, and then he goes through all this whole 45 minutes of other routine, and then he ends it with a tie-in back to the beginning. And that's kind of what this match did, and I thought it makes for a better story.
Yes.
Well,
because they throw you some curveballs in there to throw you off track, and you be like, wait a minute, I didn't see that come in. Then at the end, they be like, oh, so we went there, and all the way around the neighborhood just to get back here.
So the match was exciting. The problem with mix is when you start to get into it, it's like one person makes a tag, and then the other two have to come in. Right?
Exactly.
And it just kills it. Then you have to build the men versus men, and when you have regular tags, you can continue that same momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the match was okay. It was okay. It was a decent match. It was a match that I wouldn't get up and go to the refrigerator and make a bologna sandwich or something. And I was impressed with Cesaro. I was impressed with him.
Good.
I mean, I really was. I was like, man, this guy, and it's probably because I watched some video of him. I checked him out, like Chris. He suggested, so I checked him out. I'm like, man, this guy he's pretty good. And he went from somebody that just a regular that's in the business that you can just throw in the middle of a match to one of the top guys in the promotion in my eyes. So I was real impressed with that. So he brought a lot to that match for me. So now I can see him and Seth Rollins on the same level. Maybe he's a step above Seth Rollins.
I think he's just as athletic, but stronger than Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Athleticism, they're neck and neck. Strength-wise, Cesaro all day long.
And then, so if we're doing the ranking, the total package type thing, they're neck and neck on athleticism, I think.
Yeah.
Cesaro beats him on strength,
Yep.
and then Rollins wins on microphone.
Oh
Right,
yes, definitely,
right. So-
definitely.
And I mean, he just has Rollins. To me, he looks like a professional wrestler. To me,
Yeah.
he looks like a professional wrestler. He's that. If I was looking for a professional wrestler on a billboard or turn on the TV, and this guy gets on TV and he's talking a bunch of noise about what he's gonna do, I'll be like, I easily say that's a professional wrestler. Cesaro, to me, I hate to say this, and I can't get it out of my head. If I can get it out of my head, then I can see him for all the strength that he has in the business. Is the guy looks like my State Farm insurance agent.
Oh Lord.
He does. He looks like an insurance agent that keeps himself in shape. That's the way I see him. So I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry, man, but that's just the way I see him. But I give him respect as a wrestler. I give him respect as one of the top 5 guys in AEW. And
Well,
man,
WWE.
So a wrestling.
I mean the
historian-
WWE, man. What the heck? I'm sorry, everybody.
A wrestling
WWE.
historian that you are, all right. I think, and you probably do, appreciate the helicopter spin that he does, because I remember that from the 70s.
And the giant swing and all that. Yeah.
So he throws back to old school wrestling with some of his moves.
He does.
And
I
that was
appreciate
a
that.
move from what, the 1950s? That was somebody's finisher, wasn't it?
Yes, I appreciate that. But in the 70s, everybody started doing it overhead. Doing the airplane spin overhead and all that. And he and Cesaro, he can pick anybody up.
Oh, yeah.
In that move.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he picked Henry up and did it.
Yeah.
He did Cali in it. So I'm impressed with that. But I'm impressed with him, not just his strength. I'm impressed with him as an overall wrestler. He put together his moves really nice.
He's got a good repertoire.
Yes, I mean, and he's technically sound, so I can't put him down on that. He's one of the top guys in the business.
So what do you think? Does he need like some face tattoos, or what do we got to do to?
Does he have to
get rid of
yell and
that?
holler and spit in the mic? This Sunday.
No, man,
What do you suggest
I don't
that
want
he
him-
does
I don't
to
wa-
get rid of that Jake from State Farm look?
I don't know, man. It just that's just something. It's just something about him, and maybe because the first time I saw him, he came out there and he was in a suit, and he when he was
But
in
it was
that
an
suit,
Italian suit.
Italian, yeah,
Custom
yeah.
made, head to toe.
But that right there probably it just gave me a
It just
different
jaded
impression
you.
of him.
I get it.
And like I say, I mean, a few weeks from now, I probably won't think like that after I watch some more Smackdown.
Give it some time.
So
Let him rub off on you. Let him rub. So what would you grade the match?
All right, so we're going to do a 5-star system.
No,
1 to 5.
I was gonna say go ahead and let's go and keep going, but yeah,
All right, so
1 to 5, yes.
1 to 5. So I would give that a solid 3.
3.5.
Okay.
3.
All right.
Oh, I was
And I understand, because I want to give it better, because when Bianca and Bailey were in together, they had some good moments.
Oh
And
yeah,
because-
yeah.
And when Cesaro and Rollins were in there, they
Yep.
had some good heat, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the mix tag makes you drop it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like, okay, timeout. Okay, restart.
yeah, because if we was going with our old system, I was gonna give it a C minus. But yes.
3 would be
3.
like that solid C.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So but yeah, 3, and I can respect the 3.5.
Oh, and by the way, fans, we are gonna come up with a new grading system, so things.
No, this is the new grading system.
We're gonna go 1 to 5.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
5
so-
stars.
Okay. there
1
we go.
star to 5 stars.
So we're on it. We're
Yeah,
on it.
we're on it. So,
So-
this is a new grading system. I know y'all used to the ABC, but now we're
Yeah,
switching
but
over to the
with-
numerical.
With the ABCs, we're not giving out any Fs, and there's probably some Fs in there.
Oh, good
really,
Lord,
but-
yes.
So 1 to 5 star, 5-star restaurant, top notch. Everybody's familiar with that.
Yes.
That'll be easy to
And then
explain.
who got the pin? Was Belair, wasn't it?
Bailey pinned Belair.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to
And then
get in my head. Because when you two was talking about what happened earlier, it kind of.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to roll through the matches.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about the promos and those things that happen between matches.
Oh, okay.
All
All
right.
right, cool.
So the next match was Big E versus Cedric Alexander.
Good match.
You like that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, Big E versus Cedric. Was it? You
Yeah.
sure it was Cedric? I thought he
No, it's Cedric with Aziz at ringside.
Apollo
I
Crews.
thought it was Apollo
Oh, sorry,
Crews. I was going to say.
Yeah.
Crews. I was like,
My bad.
Yeah, I thought it was Apollo Crews.
Same guy, different name.
I mean, I was confused there. I was going to say, man. But yeah, so it was Apollo Crews, and he had Aziz out there. But yeah, that was a good match. I was impressed with Big E.
Oh yeah, Big E. Yeah.
Man, the first thing that impressed me in that match was the elbow shot off the ropes. I mean, he threw Apollo to the ropes. Apollo come off and wham! You know, as quick and as powerful as it was, and I like when he took him on the outside of the ring and he slammed him on the corner of the mat, which he does that a good bit.
Yeah.
But
he's an athletic big man.
Yeah, he really is. You wouldn't think somebody like that big can do a suicide dive.
Right. Yeah, and you've forgotten that he used to be just a stand next to this guy hitman bodyguard, right?
Yeah.
So he's able to overcome that. I don't think Virgil was ever able to get past being DiBiase's bodyguard.
No.
Big E was able to get past being the bodyguard.
Exactly.
And was he with Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard?
Yeah, he was. That was when he first debuted with Dolph Ziggler. It was Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee, and him.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I miss AJ Lee.
But
yeah, take that up with CM Punk.
Yeah, me and you, Punk.
But a little bit I have to say about him. One thing about Big E, I think his body slows him down. His body build, kind of the way his body is built and how compact it is. I think it kind of slows him down a little bit as far as in his matches of certain things that he can do. But it doesn't take away from his ability. I still think he's great. I'm impressed with him. I don't really know what to say about Apollo on this.
Apollo, he really made his name in the indie scenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, I can't think of his name. It started with a U, but yeah, UR Nation or something like that. Something. Fans, help me out, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's where he made his name on the indie circuit, man. And then he had a very big, huge following.
Okay.
On the indie circuit.
And then WWE does what they do best. They brought him in and they crushed him.
They changed everything. Yeah, everything.
They put him with Titus Worldwide.
Oh,
and they're
World
like,
Slide.
Yeah,
Titus World Slide.
And it's just so. And a little bit off topic, I think Titus could have done better than what they gave him.
Yes, yes.
Apollo Crews could have done. Apollo Crews is like, honestly, he's Big E's mini-me, to be honest with you. But when he came out, he could have been fighting like the Cody Rhodes and had a good rivalry with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And then
something they missed.
Shelton Benjamin and him could have been a good thing. And then they didn't do Shelton Benjamin right, and they let him go, and then they said, hey, we messed up, let's bring him back, and then they did the exact same thing and crushed Shelton Benjamin again. So, but I liked Apollo Crews when he first came, and then I was disappointed with what WWE did with him. So now it's just, I still watch it, and I still like his performance. I like Big E's performance. Just knowing that they're not going to do anything with him kind of brings it down.
Right.
Yeah, because they're stuck at the Intercontinental Championship status. I don't see them going no higher than that.
But I'm fine with that. Give the Intercontinental Championship the same status as when The Rock had it. It meant something, right? So and then make it meaningful, and then these people can be meaningful. You can give them height, but
because
they just don't give it that status.
Because you got to think, back in the day, the IC title, that was the workhorse champion.
That was huge.
You got that. That was almost bigger than the world heavyweight title.
Yeah,
because you were literally the match to watch, and you had to be the match to watch all day, every day, all year long.
Right.
When you had that title, you were the match to watch.
Yeah, because when Pedro Morales had it before they went completely nationwide. Man, when Pedro had it, I mean, it was a huge title. And so that kind of, when Honky Tonk Man had it for a long time.
Yeah. Well, we ain't even gonna talk about
I didn't like
man.
that.
I feel
It,
some
to
kind
me,
of
to
way
me,
about
to me, it
that.
disrespected the title. But you know, he did his thing. He did his thing. But let's get back to the match. Apollo, what do you think about his performance in the match, Michael? I mean,
both of their performances were solid. to be
right.
honest with you.
I think it was he did. I think he did a solid job. I think he put together a solid match.
Yeah, it was a solid match.
Yes.
It was definitely a noteworthy match. I wouldn't say it was a boring match.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Any match has its high points and its low points.
Right.
But it was a worthy match. Now, what do y'all think about? Was it General or Colonel Aziz? Or?
Yeah.
General Aziz.
Is it Commander Aziz?
I did
Commander
not
or
like.
General?
I didn't.
I don't know.
I think it's Commander Aziz. Wait a minute. It could be General. I have no idea. It's one of the two.
Military Aziz.
I think it's. But I didn't like him at first, but now I like him because he's like. He's like the picture of corruption. Of corruption, man. He's like. he illustrates that so well. It's just, he's like one of these guys, man. That if you go over to, I'm not trying to put down any third world country or anything like that.
I'll do
but
it.
you could, but you could go over to one of these countries and one of these guys that that stop stop your car or whatever, and maybe you got $15 American laying there, something. You got some euros laying there, and he's ready to beat you over the head with the tail end of his gun to take that money or whatever, or he takes the last dollar that you have, where you can't feed your kids or something like that. But he just gives off that impression to me for some reason. I don't know.
That's good, and it
Yeah.
kind of describes my experience in Panama City, Panama, when I was in the Army.
Last King of Scotland.
Wow. Wow.
So, yes, I'm not excited about him. I'm not buying into how well he can move and wrestle and fight.
He's a typical big guy. He's a typical just slow, lumbering.
Yeah, I
big
wonder how many years is it going to take for him to become the great Khali?
He's almost there now.
I see glimpses of it right now.
Yeah, he's almost there now.
And at the end, the last 5 years of Great Khali, I was like, why does this guy even exist in the WWE right now? It takes him like 5 minutes to get from the ramp into the ring, and it's always the battle royal that he's in, and he can't bend his knees, and he's just stiff. And I'm sure all the other wrestlers are like, this guy just needs to retire because and I see this guy following that same path.
Yeah, but Apollo, man, like I say, he put together a solid performance. But I think Big E, his size and his strength just took over the match, and Apollo actually couldn't really do anything with him, and he finished off the match and got the win.
And I tell you what, man, taking it back a couple of months or so ago on an episode of Talking Smack, Paul Heyman asked Big E basically in a nutshell, why don't you have a mean streak? If you had a mean streak, that would, with your size, that would take you so far. Instead of smiling, shaking hands, and kissing babies.
Yeah, shaking babies and kissing hands.
There you go. He's like, why don't you just get down to business, go in there, kick some butt, and take names later, and then go to the next opponent. Instead, you're trying to have a good time.
Well, he has that kind of attitude too, where he could do that. Because I kind of like the way he talks in the match, during the match. Like when he had Apollo was draped over the ropes in the middle of the ropes, and he come over and he said it's not over yet. It's not over yet, and then he comes over there and he's punching him, man. He brings a lot of that attitude to where he could be that kind of guy in the business, to where he has that mean streak and he just don't care about anything except for winning and just looking down on everybody else. He has that type of personality if he wanted to go that way. But